Okay, everybody. Gung hei fat choi. Gung hei fat choi. Gung hei fat choi. Gung hei fat choi. I am wishing you happiness and prosperity. It's the most common greeting for anyone who is celebrating Chinese New Year. Now, Chinese New Year is like the biggest family reunion on earth, okay? It involves 2.5 billion people. And all those people can trace their ancestry back to ancient China. They don't all live in China. They live around the world, so it's kind of a worldwide celebration. As a matter of fact, the 2 million, like I said, do live in China, 2 billion to be in China. And then Canada, United States, and Australia all have a fairly large population, around 200 million. And then all the countries that border China until like the late 1900, early 1900s, they used the Chinese calendar. It was kind of all more of an Asian calendar. So the countries' names have changed, but not their traditions. Even if they can't trace their ancestry back to China, their culture is kind of, adopted the Chinese culture too. So anyway, like I said, it's the largest family reunion on earth. Everyone tries to travel back home, and it's all because a monster came to town. Now this was hundreds of thousands, years ago. This monster's name is Nian. Look at this bad boy. All righty, yeah. All right, well this bad boy would rise out of the ocean right after the winter solstice and terrorize all the villages along the coast, okay? And this went on until a very, 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 very old man came to the village. And he was old enough to be the grandfather of the oldest person in the village, okay? Well, this grandfather told them how to get rid of Nian. He said, you've got to build bonfires because Nian's afraid of the light. And in the bonfire, you need to burn bamboo because when you burn bamboo, the liquid inside explodes. And that loud popping sound will scare Nian away. And the last thing you have to do is paint red above your doors because Nian is afraid of bright colors. So they did what he said, and of course it worked. And so that grandfather figure kind of becomes the grandfather figure of that culture. They have a lot of respect for their elders. So also, forgot my train of thought there. All right, the monster is as years went on, this ritual that they would do became more of a metaphor for winter and darkness, and they would be performing these rituals more or less to scare winter away, not to scare this, dragon creature away. So it kind of spread all over China. Everyone was doing the ritual. And then about 2500 to 2800 BC, an emperor came into power who wanted to turn all this negativity into positivity. He said, I want us to have a spring festival, and let's include all of these Nian rituals that y'all do as part of our New Year's celebration. So I've got to have a calendar, okay? So he put his mathematicians and astronomers to work, and they devised him a calendar. It's 28 days. Each month is 28 days because it's based on the moon going around the earth. So it starts with a new moon, halfway through is full moon, then back to new moon. So there's 12 of those. And they named those 12 months a Nian, after the monster. And today, in Chinese, Nian means year, okay? So they made their year, their calendar. If I turn it, I'm afraid it'll fall, but you can see all those characters on the calendar. They didn't do him just one good calendar, though, for a year. They made him a calendar that was 60 years long, divided into groups of 12. And each of those 12 is named after one of the animals on the Chinese zodiac. So right now we are in let me do it this way. Here's the calendar. We are in the year of the snake, 2025, and we're going into the year of the horse, 2026. And it continues all those 12 animals over and over throughout the 60 years. Now, there's not 365 days in that Chinese year. So they throw in some leap days and things all along so they can kind of always keep it where it lines up with the winter solstice, because that's their big thing. Winter solstice is December 21st. Well, the new year has to begin on the second new moon after the winter solstice. So since the moon is in different phases every year on December 21st, the new year never starts on the same day, well, for about 60 years. So anyway, the earliest it can be is January 21st. The latest it can be is February 20th. This year, the Chinese New Year will begin Tuesday, February 17th. So they have already started all of their things that they have to do in order to get ready for their new year. There are 5 components, and the first is called Little Year. Little Year is when they do their shopping, and they have to buy something new to wear. They have to buy the food, either food they're going to cook or food that's already cooked for them. And they buy their decorations and their fireworks, of course. But their decorations involve something called a couplet. Now, couplets are most usually red, and they started out being messages like these hung outside the doors. The original message was 2 warriors' names to scare away ghosts. But that has evolved, and it's now become just pleasantries that people see when they come to your house. And you guys are going to make one now. Okay. All right. And some of these have the name, like this one says peace. And there's one that says happy. Anyway, just take one and a marker. Okay. If you will. Here's some more markers if that's not enough.
Here, I'll pass this out.
Okay. If you will, take your marker and color in and make those. There's one on the front and there's one on the back. And I don't know what they say. I mean, like I said, they say, hang on.
Color in this thing?
Yes. So in the end, you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay. It's going to be, it's a couplet. Do both sides with your marker. And then when you get finished, it'll make a little, okay. Okay, some say love, some say happiness, some say welcome, and some say hello, and some say happy.
Tickles my fancy.
Oh, and some say peace. Okay.
Does it matter which way they turn?
Yes. Ma'am?
Does it matter which way you turn it?
I have no clue. No one's going to call you on it if you make it upside down. Anyway, up until this time, Chinese women could not visit their families after they married. They might accidentally run into them at a market or somewhere and see them, but they belonged to their husband's family once they married. Now, when this new spring festival began, women were allowed to go home and see their families. So even unaccompanied women, which is, in our culture, even 100 years ago, most women didn't travel anywhere unaccompanied. But they were very, this particular emperor was very forward thinking. Okay. Oh, I thought your marker wasn't working. No. All righty. All right, now as y'all are finishing up, I'm going to keep talking. I handed out a paper that has kind of how they work toward getting ready for their new year. Like I said, the first part was the preceding days was when they did their shopping and traveling. And the last thing they do is they clean their house. And it's not just a basic sweep. It is they wipe down the ceilings, the walls, the floors, everything gets wiped down. And then they sweep it out the front. And then they put the broom away. And the broom does not come out again for a week. So anything that's tracked back in the house is okay, because any clutter that's tracked back into their house is bringing new luck, New Year luck, and after they have swept all the bad last year's luck away. So I like that idea of no sweeping for a week. So
That sound good. It did sound good, didn't it?
yeah. Okay, so when you finish, if you will, press it down and make you a little cup for me.
And turn it back into you, or what?
I'm sorry.
You want it back?
No, that's yours. Okay.
What
Now,
about
all right, we have done the house cleaning. Okay, now we are ready for New Year's Eve. This year, February 16th, New Year's Eve. Okay? First thing they do is they go and honor their ancestors. They go to the cemeteries and they leave money and they leave food. Now, in areas where there's a large number of people doing that, they have special caretakers that go in and gather up the food and the money, and they give it to the local orphanage or to a monastery. But, or in the United States, they give it to food banks. So it's not like they think the ancestors actually coming back to eat, or they're just showing their respect. So anyway, and I know the person who does that here in town, she goes back and gets hers before the sun goes down, so there won't be any wildlife attracted to the cemetery, and she just throws it away.
Dr. Singson had a family member, I don't remember if it was his father or mother or somebody, that they had the funeral in center, and they put fake money in his casket with
Yes, they did, yes. I've been to one. It's very interesting what they do.
It is interesting.
So they'll have spending money when they get to the other side, so they can buy stuff.
Yeah. I like to shop.
Okay, so after we have honored our ancestors, we come home for a reunion dinner, okay? The reunion dinner is what we ate today, okay? The lo mein noodles stand for longevity, okay? The dumplings are crescent-shaped like the coins of ancient China, and then the egg roll themselves represents a gold bar. So all those are things like our eating cabbage is supposed to give us money. They do the egg rolls and the dumplings for money. The the noodles for longevity. And you always have a dessert because you want everyone to have a sweet future, okay? And the only other thing they serve is fish, but you don't eat the fish. They just present a fish to you because the word fish in Chinese and the word abundance in Chinese is the same word. So that you're showing that there will be an abundance of food this year if you serve a fish and don't actually eat it. So that, there are some interesting customs. So after they have their dinner, two things happen. The oldest person there gets gold coins, okay? And the youngest person there gets gold coins. The oldest is because they're showing their respect again for their elder. The youngest is because they want the child to have something to play with.
Thank you.
Because they want them to stay up till midnight. And so what better way to give them, press down in the middle. Over here. Okay. All right. All righty. So we have honored our youngest and our oldest. And so then at midnight, they throw their doors open and everyone runs outside and they yell either gung hei fat choi or gong si fa so to everyone. They pop as many firecrackers as they possibly can and beat on drums. They make as much noise as they can to bring in their new year. Okay? Then the next day, they put on those new clothes they bought and they go out visiting and delivering gifts. Now there's a day 2 that says daughter gift. That's a second day that's special just for daughters, because it's so special that they get to travel by themselves. But anyway, in addition to that, the New Year's Day, they pass out gifts. In the beginning, there was red paper, gold paper, red cloth, gold cloth, simple things like that. Then it moved into gold, pieces of gold, then gold money, then jewelry. And now in the modern day, plants or some part of a plant is that sort of the expected gift that you would receive. So you might receive seeds or you might receive some plant. There are 4 plants that are commonly given, the most common because they have meaning in the Chinese society, Chinese culture. They mean grace, rebirth, prosperity, or loyalty. And those 4 plants are what I'm going to tell you about now. The first is the orchid. Oh, I know. It's a sad-looking little fella, but it really isn't. This is a healthy orchid. Those that you see at Walmart that are completely covered in blooms will look like this in 13 years if you leave them in the same pot like I have.
What
Now,
plant is that?
I'm sorry,
What is plant? What plant?
orchid.
Orchid.
Yeah. Now, all these are air roots, and the more air roots it has, the healthier it is. As long as when you look at the ends, they have little green tips on them. A little green tip on the air root means it's healthy. And this is also a good color. If they're dark green, they won't bloom. But this one, I think it was right getting ready to bloom when it was probably too close to the window and got too cold last week or the week before, because I thought it was getting ready to bloom. But this is the orchid, and orchid seeds are sterile. That means they have to land somewhere in order to get the nutrients so they will sprout and grow. So if they don't land on some moss or something like that, they don't reproduce. People who grow orchids for a living and really want to show fancy orchids, they will grow them, but they will grow them on agar and a petri dish to get them ready to go. And it takes 8 years. So that's not a very viable thing to do. So propagation is the way of making new orchids. So I think this is a year, after 13 years, I think I have, it's two complete plants in there. So I think I can repot it and it'll do okay. I'll let y'all know. They grow on, since they grow like on crevices and things in trees, they don't really have soil. They kind of grow on bark and sticks and things. And they do sell actual orchid soil. And when you open it up, it's a bag of bark and sticks. All right, so that is orchid. The next is the
Orchid stands for loyalty.
orchid stands for grace.
Growth.
Grace. Okay. All right. This is a water lily. It's called a lotus, and if you were someone who was gifting someone a lotus, it would be someone who has a koi pond or some other water feature that you can control the temperature of, because if it gets too cold, they freeze and they die. But that's the lotus. And the one good thing about lotus is that every part of it is edible, which is always a plus. And it reproduces by rhizomes, which means that it has a stem that runs horizontally right under the surface of the water and grows new ones that way. So if it has a seed, I mean, I'm sure it produces a seed. They all do. But the rhizomes is how it normally reproduces, just by growing more and more in little lily pads. Okay? And the lotus stands for rebirth. Rebirth. All right. The next one is the peony. Okay? The peony is, what was I going to say about it as I held it up? Oh, you were asking what it means. It's prosperity. All right, the peony grows from a tuber. It's like a potato, okay? It's underground root, little fat underground root, and every time it makes a little spike, a little nodule, like an eye on a potato, it will make a new plant. Now, peonies are for our northern neighbors. They will not grow here. I mean, I'm going to plant this, and it will probably grow, and it might bloom, and it'll be pretty when it blooms. But I need to remember that it's an annual this far south. They will not grow like Zone 7. They really need to be north of Zone 7. Think of them like tulips. You know, tulips are in the Netherlands, Northern Europe. Well, peonies came from the Ukraine, which is Northern Europe. So, and they have some really nice, they're like daylilies. You know, you see a daylily and you go, ooh, I like that. I'd pay $20 for that. And you go and look at it, and carpenter wants $300 for it, you know. Well, peonies are the same way. The really good ones are $200 or $300, $400 or $500 for this. But anyway, and the reason it won't do well is that once you dug it up, you've stopped its growth and it has to start over. Well, peonies are in that group of plants that, what's it called? Hang on. Sleep, creep, and leap. The first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. Okay, well, when you dig it up, you're starting it back to sleep again. So that's why, people up north leave them in the ground and
Cherry and Jennifer may have experienced it too, but I brought some tubers home, peonies, here, home. From up north, I dug them up. I put them in a flower pot because I don't put things in the ground. And I didn't pay any attention to it. I guess I must have watered it once in a while. And one day I looked and I thought, what is that? And it was a nice big pink peony. And that's the last time it happened, okay? But I've got a bunch of tubers, and if anybody wants any, maybe next time I go home, I can dig some more up and bring them back, and you can try them in your pot. But they are lovely. There are the double blooms and the single. They're all kinds, all colors. But they just grow like bushes, at home.
Yeah. And they live up north, they will live 40 or 50 years. People who young homeowners buy houses and they post pictures. What is this growing in my yard? Because they didn't know they were there, and then boom, in the spring they get a big, pretty bloom like this. Peonies to me look like an old world rose, or even kind of like a chrysanthemum. But anyway, they're for our northern friends. And then yes, they grow. That was a tuber. Okay, the last one is the gladiolus. Gladiolus is loyalty. Now, the gladiolus got its name. It started out in Africa. And Africa, it made its way to Europe during the Roman Empire. So that's where it got its name. A Roman soldier's sword is called a gladius. And so a gladiola is because of its long, skinny shape. And since Roman soldiers are known for their loyalty, this is kind of the go-to plant for people to gift. If they've traveled around the world to get home for a holiday, they deserve something. So anyway, and the gladiolus, they will die from the bottom, so you can just deadhead this part and you'll keep having a nice, pretty part for a good while, several weeks. And if you have a bunch of them, you can plant them like every 2 weeks apart, and you'll have blooms like pretty much all summer. And they grow from a corm. A corm is it's kind of bulb, but it's solid. Normal bulbs peel like an onion, but these corms are solid, and when it gets ready to reproduce, it will reproduce a little cormette on top. So you get in the fall, when they're done, all they're going to do, you dig them up, and you break the little cormettes off, and you'll have more if you want them to spread.
So the flat part goes down.
Flat goes up. Those are roots. That's a root. The pointy part goes down. Okay, and these have been sitting a good while. So if you plan on planting one,
Which is the bottom? That.
the root's the bottom.
Oh,
root right here.
no wonder they didn't grow.
Oh. Okay. And soak them, because these have been sitting a while and they're really dried out.
Soak them
Yeah, soak them a couple hours in water.
So these are all different colors?
These are all red. Okay. Yes, yes, it's red. the lucky color red, lucky color Chinese red. Okay, now.
Okay, plant them, okay.
Yeah.
So there's multiple?
They will, yes. Each cormette will produce a new plant, and you might want to dig it up and separate them out so they aren't growing all in a clump on top of each other.
Where do we plant these?
I'm sorry,
Like the spring?
it's my hearing aids making my phone
When
ring.
we plant it, when can we plant it?
Oh, plant it about 6 inches deep, and it needs full sun.
Okay, full
Okay.
sun, 6 inches deep.
Yeah. And so we have visited all of our relatives, and we've given them all of our magical gifts, And that brings up day 8 is when everybody goes back to work. But then day 15 is the grand finale. It's called the Lantern Parade, not the Lantern Festival. It's not that Hindu thing where they light the candles and send up the paper lanterns. That's not this. The Lantern Parade is what it says. Everybody carries a lantern. You're either in the parade as a participant or you're a spectator. But either way, you've got a light of some kind, a flashlight, a lantern, or something. And the highlight of that parade is the lions and dragons that dress up. The people dress up. It's normally the dragon first and then the lion, but they both represent strength. And some of them are like maybe 100 feet long, 100 people in them, and they practice for months because there's a particular dance that the dragon sways this way as he comes through, and the lion is more of a lunging motion as he comes through. And they're kind of professionals from one year to the next. They get together and they practice. And this is a sort of a good picture of what I'm talking about with the parade. Everybody has seen, this is what most people are familiar with when you say a Chinese New Year, but this is the very end. And then at midnight, they have commercial fireworks. And the commercial fireworks ends the thing. So at midnight, everything shuts down, then everybody goes home, and they're all done for the whole year. Yeah, that's their finish. When they're finished. Now, that kind of concludes that part, but I wanted to give you one more thing, and it's the most un-Chinese thing here today, besides us, and that's the fortune cookie. Fortune cookies are Japanese, and what happened was, about the end of the 1800s, the U.S. government passed a law that excluded Chinese from working in the United States. Okay, so they all had to go home. Well, who does those crummy jobs when those people won't go home? They had to import some new, so they imported the Japanese. So Japanese kind of settled along the West Coast mostly, and they went ahead and opened their bakeries and things. And they sold this specialty item in their bakeries called miso cake. And the miso cake is that one of these, only flat, and they fold it over. Now, at the turn of the century, it would have been it's not nearly as sweet as things we're used to, but at that time, it would have been a tasty little treat that you could get for 2 or 3 pennies. Have a nice little sugary treat on the way home. Well, anyway, after Pearl Harbor, the Japanese got rounded up and arrested, and so the Chinese came back and they bought the Japanese bakeries. Well, they couldn't very well sell Japanese cakes in a Chinese bakery, so they had to do something to them. So they started putting lucky numbers inside them. And that made them, number cookies, and then somehow it became fortune cookies down the line. But anyway, that's the story of the fortune cookie. Okay, now turn this off. Okay, I'm done. Gun safe at Choi.